Hey vinyl community, this is it. This is the last new arrival and cheap finds video for 2017. I don't care if I buy a storage locker and I find a box of Seal Prince Black albums. That's it, and that's all. Anything I find for the rest of December is going to wait till 2018. I do have some other videos already filmed and planned, but this is it. So having said that, cheers everyone. I hope you're all having a good week and a good holiday so far. I'm still a little bit reeling from Pat D'Annunzio from the Smithereens. Thank you all if you did watch that video, and thank you all for the nice comments. I really do appreciate that very much. Okay, let's get right to this. The first part of this video is going to be some awesome finds I had from 5 days ago, which would have been the weekend. And, excuse me. Excuse me, how rude of me. And the rest of it is little bits of vinyl I have laying around of thrift store finds, etc., that I just haven't included in the video. So I've kind of gathered everything up, cobbled it all together, and we're going to jam it all into this video. So we're going to clean house, we're going to show you everything I have. So really, there's only one little thing I have to say, one little preface for the first batch you're going to see. This is regarding some Elvis vinyl you're going to see. Like the description says, I had a Elvis haul last Friday night, I believe, and there was quite a few. I'm not going to show you all of them, but they're all just immaculate, and they were $1.50 each. And I posted a photo of them on the YouTube vinyl community, and hidden in the corner of one of the photos, or the photo, was this one album. And a gentleman, I can't remember his name, he sent me a message, I believe, or he made a comment that, hey, that one in the corner, I just sold that for a lot of money, and you should pay attention to that one. And I had no idea. To me, they were all just kind of standard Elvis albums in really nice condition, but nothing more, nothing less. Sorry about that. So the next day, I remembered what he had told me. I went onto Discgos, and it turns out, and by the way, on Discgos, I've said this before, I always discount the high price. Some jokers always kind of jump the gun and overpaid way too much for an album. But that median price, it's not the Bible, but that's kind of what I go by. And a lot of people do go by that. This album, in Canada, Canadian dollars, on average it sells for about $154, which was a real shock to me. So that's the only kind of backstory I got to tell you about these Elvis finds. Other than the gentleman who donated these, he had a really immaculate kind of way of cataloging his albums. They all had little stickers on them, and they were all numbered, and he had some kind of catalog system that made sense to him. So when someone goes through that effort, you know they've taken care of their vinyl. To find a batch of Elvis vinyl like this, to have them in that condition is rare. And I've never found a batch like this. Let's get right to it. Here's the album right here that, on average, and like I said, when I'm giving you pressings and values, it's just information for you. Here it is. It's Elvis live, recorded live on stage in Memphis. It's a quadra-disc recording from 1974. And this is the one here that really shocked the hell out of me. I've already had... I think I might have took that post down because I had a couple of people messaging me already wanting to buy this for me. And it's too early. It's early days. But what I will say, the only flaw in this album, and I'll be honest, is someone wrote his name, Wilson, right there. And usually I make an attempt to get the pen mark or the felt off. This one I'm not going to touch. I don't want to do any damage whatsoever because I played the vinyl right after I kind of... looked it up on Discogs. It plays without a pop. It plays without a crackle. Perfect. I'm going to keep this as is. So there it is. And I'll be honest with you all, I'm probably going to leverage this against one of my most wanted in 2018, which is another video probably coming up, the 12 most wanted albums of 2018. I probably will, and leverage is a nice way of saying I'll probably going to sell this, just to kind of put it towards another album. Anyways, that's the album. Quadra-disc recording of Elvis recorded live on stage in Memphis. So that was, in value terms, that was the kind of find of the week. Here's the rest of the Elvis albums I did find. Elvis I gotta say, as cool as it is to say you like early Elvis, pre-army Elvis, I just have this affinity for later 70s Elvis, and especially the live recordings. I just find them endlessly entertaining, the kind of the Vegas showmanship. A lot of people don't like it. I just find it, and that's kind of what I grew up in the house. My dad would play that, because this was in the 70s when he was still releasing these albums. My dad played these a lot. I just have memories. I don't know. Call me crazy. Anyways, one of these finds is Elvis recorded live at Madison Square Garden. And this might look familiar because this is the same cover as the one I just showed you. But it's same cover, but it's called Double Dynamite. And it's recorded on an RCA budget subsidiary called Camden or Pickwick. And this one is a double album. The Madison Square Garden, I believe, is a single album. Yeah. Same cover, but this is a double album. And on the outside, it doesn't have any notes where it was recorded. I don't know anything about it, but track 1 is Burning Love. You know I'm going to love it right there. Elvis in Hollywood, which there are people a lot more knowledgeable about Elvis than I am. So I'm not going to pretend. I never ever claimed to be a be-all and end-all of knowledge about Elvis or anything really. So I'm not going to give you too much backstory about these Elvis albums. People like Liam Dyer, and there's some other people I'm familiar with on YouTube who are much more knowledgeable. But Elvis, I will tell you what I do know. Anyways, I do know this is a kind of a compilation of some of his better-known songs from his movies. And what's cool about this one, I have seen this one before. I've never seen it this nice. And inside has the original book that came with it. And the spine is in perfect condition. I've never seen one of the booklets in one of these where the pages haven't been falling out. It's just immaculate. And a nice photo book of Elvis and just, other things. And this is kind of a complete package. Vinyl's beautiful. The booklet's beautiful, intact. It looks like it's barely been touched. And you have to excuse me, I will do due diligence and put these Elvis ones away because they're very, very nice. So it was Elvis in Hollywood with the book, the complete intact book. Elvis double album. This is Elvis in person at the International Hotel, Las Vegas. And then backside is Elvis back in Memphis. Continuing on with Elvis, this is the second one I found at a thrift store this year. This one is in nicer condition. This is the soundtrack to That's the Way It Is. So that's an upgrade copy. And I think I've made mention of this before. I'm not an avid Elvis collector. I just happen to find so many. Elvis albums are very, very common to find at thrift stores. And I've said this before 100 times. The challenge to finding Elvis, Beatles, Zeppelin, Floyd, etc., at thrift stores, the challenge isn't to find them because they're out there. Finding them in good condition, that is the battle. At least that is for me anyways. So I do pick up Elvis when I do see it. It's in good condition. But like I said, I don't actively seek Elvis albums, but I just happen to luck into them. Okay, we're going to motor on here. This is the last Elvis I believe I'm going to show you of the bunch. I think I had 12 in total. And the other ones I'm not showing you is because I haven't properly cleaned them or bagged them. There wasn't much cleaning to do. The price stickers, just had to peel the price stickers off very carefully. But this is Elvis in Concert 2-record set. Yeah, there's no sense me talking about it. You probably all know that one. The rest of the Elvis albums I'll probably show you in 2018 in my next video. But that was a really incredible haul. To find that many Elvis albums in beautiful condition was quite. That was quite a good night. We're just gonna plow on now. The non-Elvis stuff you're gonna see there's some good stuff, some common stuff. Common's all relative, isn't it? This was a cool find for a Procol Harum. Once again, like Elvis, I'm not an active collector. I do like a lot of the early Procol Harum albums, especially the Live in Edmonton album was recorded in my city with the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra. So that one's kind of a little bit meaningful if you're from my city. This one, I do have a copy of this one. I think it's sitting in my sell pile. But this one's a keeper because anytime I see this little pink promo sticker, it tells me I'm more times than not I'm getting a white label promo, or WLP, as they say. Procol Harum Grand Hotel white label promo copy. I'm definitely going to be keeping this one. This one, I don't know much about the album, and I'm kind of a little bit pissed off. It's hard to be pissed off at the thrift store because I kind of, you know, I do score a lot. But they placed a huge price sticker over a rip in the cover. And the sticker didn't cause it because the sticker really wasn't on that tight. So they covered the tear, which doesn't really matter because the album is so cool and it's kind of rare. So if you're from the UK, pay attention because there's someone featured on this album that really is only famous in the UK. And that's Georgie Fame. But the album is called Shorty, featuring Georgie Fame. It's an original pressing on Epic Records. And the liner notes, if you happen to know who Blossom Dearie is just written by Blossom Dearie. Anyways, it's a British mod slash kind of jazz album. I don't remember what year it's from. Early 70s anyways. Kind of a rare album. And I was with my wife when I found these albums. And I told her, I don't know if you can pick this up in the eyeball. There's a little skeleton. I said, if you're ever vinyl shopping and I'm not around, and you see a little skull or skeleton hidden in the cover somewhere, probably pick it up. It might be something good. It's a little tip I gave her. Anyways, Georgie Fame with the band Shorty. I did play this, and it's a really, really good album. And this one's going to stay in my collection. Always drop this one. Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, Paco de Lucia, Friday Night in San Francisco. An album I've never had before. There's some common, well, there's common stuff throughout this video, so I shouldn't really have to preface that with the word common. But John Fogerty, center field, absolute, really nice, stunning, upgrade copy for me. And in fact, whoever donated this was really cool because they included I'm not going to show you everything in these albums. They included a cutout from Rolling Stone magazine of an advertisement for the album. I like finding these kind of things in albums. Being an old Rolling Stone nerd from the 80s myself, I find that kind of cool. Jazz fans, I rarely find jazz albums that aren't kind of big band, swing, Louis Armstrong type stuff. I found an album on Impulse Records, and it's John Coltrane related, which was pretty awesome. It's Pharoah Sanders live at the East, and oddly enough, it's not a live album. Go figure. The last, Pharoah Sanders, it's kind of avant-garde, free jazz, improvising, more or less. He played with John Coltrane during that era of his music. And in fact, the last song on this album is called Memories of J.W. Coltrane. So whenever you find a jazz album at a thrift store, which is not very often for me, that's not that kind of music I told you about, you know, kind of swing and big band. You find an Impulse label in nice condition. It's kind of a cool find. So anyways, Pharoah Sanders live at the East. So I really shouldn't be taking these out of the covers because I waste a lot of time doing that. That was a nice find. This one, it was just there in part of this haul I got. Dave Mason and Cass Elliot. There's Dave Mason. And there's Cass Elliot. I know both of them. I don't know this album. The only thing wrong with this one, it has a little bubble. I think someone tried to get rid of this BB on it, and the album bubbled. Don't care. I'm not going to play the cover. I'll play the album itself. Second time I found this album at a thrift store this year is a really nice condition copy of Patti Smith Horses. Whether it's upgrade or not, I don't know. I haven't looked at my other copy. I was with my wife when I found this album, and Be Still My Heart. She wanted to hear this album because she had just read her autobiography, so she had never heard any of her music. So she was excited when I found this because she really wants to hear horses. And I'm hoping she likes it because it's kind of a little bit outside of the realm of what she normally listens to. And if I'm talking fast, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to make this an hour-long video. But just Just imagine, this is the last time you'll see one of these videos for 2017. All right, some 80s stuff. There's some other stuff coming up, but 80s stuff. I don't really show you guys a lot of this stuff because I just kind of, it's not as sexy as kind of Patti Smith albums and kind of, you know, rare Elvis albums. But I've made this perfectly clear before. I have a massive, massive 80s collection in there. And that's kind of what I grew up with. And that's still, you know, my first love. My favorite Australian band, I've been looking for a nice copy of this on vinyl, is Mental as Anything. And I found my favorite album by them called Fundamental. This has the song Live It Up, probably my favorite Mental as Anything song. And you might know that song from Crocodile Dundee from the movie and the soundtrack. Anyways, Mental as Anything, Fundamental. Kim Wilde, Teases and Dares in the Shrink. Don't know this album. I've only ever had her first album with Kids in America for $1. Vision Quest soundtrack, which I feel is a cut above most of those 80s soundtracks. This one has, if you don't know, Red Rider, Lunatic Fringe. It's got Madonna, Style Council, Journey, Dio, Foreigner, blah, 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 blah. You know the rest, but I think it's one of the better kind of 80s soundtracks. Stacey Q, Better Than Heaven. Samantha Fox. I love Samantha Fox. I don't care what you think. This was her last kind of successful major label album. Doesn't really matter. Just a few more seconds to show Samantha Fox on screen. And another thing you don't know about me is right behind me is I have a massive collection. Well, massive is relative. I have about 50 or 60, I call them K-Tel albums, and I use that as a kind of blanket term for any 80s compilation. And I have a lot of 80s compilations, whether they're K-Tel or Polydor or whatever. On a Friday night, if you want something neutral to listen to that's not going to piss off everyone in my house, grab one of these 80s compilations and everyone's happy. This one is called Raiders of the Pop Charts. I don't have this one. And it's hard keeping track of them. So I find boatloads of these things at thrift stores. Keeping track of these, trying to remember which one you have and don't have, that's another battle. Doesn't really matter what's on it, but double album. 80s hits from about 80... I think this is from about 83, this one. Raiders of the Pop Charts. And an upgraded copy of Culture Club Colored by Numbers with the original poster inside. Culture Club, I have a lot of their albums, and I don't know why, because I don't listen to them anymore. I don't think their music has aged very well, but I have picture discs, all kinds of stuff. But upgrade copy, just because it was there. But like I said, of all the 80s bands that were big, I think their music has kind of weathered the worst, in my opinion. One day I'll tell you my Boy George story of DJing. Being in the same club while he was DJing, and I was kind of DJing before him. It's a good story. I'll tell you one day. Blondie, Parallel Lines. Boomtown Rats, Fine Art of Surfacing. I think that might be it for the 80s stuff. Whenever I see electronic experimental music, you've seen quite a few of these on my videos of late. I just pick them up because they tend to be valuable. They're kind of easy to kind of do trades. And to find, you know, late 60s, early 70s electronic music, I don't know why it's becoming increasingly easier to find these albums. But they're very collectible, very desirable. Anyways, this one, and all these, I just don't know what they are, but I have people in the vinyl community I know who collect these things, so I pick them up. Panorama Electronique. And I'm just going to show you the label instead of trying to butcher everyone's names. I believe this one might be late 60s. But that kind of music seems to have quite a big following. Probably the third or fourth copy of this I found this year, but it's such a great rock psych album from Canada. And I'm slowly going to take the copies I have and kind of, like I always tell you, piece them together into one perfect copy, but a copy of Mashmakhan. I think that's maybe the third or fourth copy I found this year, and I'm going to, over the holidays here, I have a week off at Christmas, I'm going to take a lot of these albums, like The Who, Tommy, my last video. I'm just going to take them, make perfect copies, and kind of get rid of the other ones. And here's Mashmakon. Petra, more power to you. I am not a Christian rock collector per se. This kind of music, I don't know Petra, but I don't discriminate against anything with a Christian message. Because I don't really listen to lyrics, to be honest with you. In rare cases, I do. Like I've talked about Striper before. I do listen to Striper quite a bit. What they're talking about doesn't matter to me. They can sing all they want about God. I love the music, and I love kind of, you know, how the music sounds. So Petra, all I know about Petra is they're probably one of the biggest selling kind of Christian rock bands. It was there. It was part of this haul. More power to you, Petra. Canadian 80s kind of pop new wave. This is probably meaningless unless you're Canadian and you lived in the 80s. But just in time to be late. They were kind of bigger in Ontario. I believe that's where they're from. We're Ontario. And they had a little bit of a following out west here. Another jazz album. Of all the jazz artists that I buy at thrift stores, I happen to find at thrift stores, Wes Montgomery. I find more Wes Montgomery albums than anyone else combined. But I found a copy of his greatest hits. Really good jazz guitar, if you don't know who Wes Montgomery is. This is, what is this? On A&M Records. I thought it was some kind of sexy jazz label. It's A&M. Cheap Trick, All Shook Up. A Cheap Trick album I did not own. Something cool. That's cool to me. Screaming Blue Messiahs. Kind of a band from the 80s. If you know them, you know them. You might know them from their song, I Want to Be a Flintstone, which was kind of the only hit that you might know by them. If not, have a look on YouTube. That's what it's there for. This one's called Gunshy. An album I did not own by them. And this one is really cool. I think so far, in the last couple of years, I've found a Joy Division, New Order, and a few other albums in this series. It's the Peel Sessions by the Screaming Blue Messiahs. If you ever see a Peel Sessions album with this cover, it's going to be good. John Peel was very, very, very wrong, or very rarely wrong, despite what you might think of John Peel. You have to admit he was a pretty reliable tastemaker for back in the day. Motown compilation time. I pick these up every single time. They're great to DJ with. They're great to play around the house for $1 for a 2-record set of Motown original hits. It's a K-Tel album, but it was released in cooperation with Motown. So you get, how many you get? 16. You get about 36 songs in total of all original Motown hits. An upgraded copy of Bryan Adams' Reckless. Cyndi Lauper, True Colors, my sister's favorite artist. You didn't need to know that. In case she happens to be watching, there you go. I found a Cyndi Lauper album, True Colors. An album I just didn't have on vinyl. And I think, unless I'm totally on crack, which is always possible, this might be the last album. And I kept this video below an hour. I find tons of these in Canada, and it's the right time of year to find this album because it has a Christmas song on it that gets very, very heavy rotation in Canada on radio. And this is the most complete one I've ever found, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. It's Bob and Doug McKenzie, The Great White North, and the Christmas song is 12 Days of Christmas. That gets really, really heavy airplay in Canada around this time of year. This one is in the shrink. This is what I'm going to talk about. This is the most complete one I've ever found. This one's going to be the keeper copy for me, and all the ones I can kind of part out. In the shrink, part 1. Hype sticker, part 2. The vinyl's immaculate, so that's part 3. Beautiful inner sleeve. And here's the kicker. And I've never seen this in one of these albums. Please don't comment that you have 10 of these and it has this insert in it. I don't need to know about it. First time I've seen it. It comes with the original merchandise form to order t-shirts. What else? Posters, toques, of course, bottle openers. There you go. And t-shirts for only $7. Anyways, And I think, did that include shipping too? No, you had to add shipping. Anyways, the original merchandise form, which I've never seen one of these albums. So that is about as a complete copy of Bob and Doug McKenzie that I've ever seen and that you'll ever get. So anyways, if you don't know, I think I've talked about this before, but Geddy Lee from Rush is on this album on a song called Take Off. All right. I'm sure there's other piles I've left laying around, but this is all I can see, and I wanted to empty the house out. So no matter what's laying around, we're going to call this done for 2017 for Cheap Finds. And I didn't include any new arrivals. I'll do those in my first video of 2018. Sorry, I talked really fast. I wanted to make this as short as possible. Stay tuned. I've got a couple of videos coming up. A punk one, Beastie Boys video. Who knows what else. I want to, even through the Christmas season, I want to, post a video or two a week. Just to have something up and, do something other than cheap find videos. All right, I'm out of breath. Whew. Anyways, I want to say cheers to everyone. I'm not going to say goodbye for 2017 because I will have more videos. Thank you everyone for watching. It means a lot to me. Whether you subscribe or not, doesn't matter to me. If you do, thank you very much. If not, and you're still watching the videos, that's great. To me, subscribe or not, doesn't matter. If you're watching, that's kind of what's important to me. Having said that, I'm going to end this here. I'm off to bed because it's early morning. I just got home from work. And I hope you all have a great weekend and a great rest of the Christmas season. Take care.